So Amumu's last maxed ability is his W. So this is the ability that it deals the percent of the target's maximum damage per tick, right? So this is his last maxed ability. Now, outside of this, the physical damage reduction, 3% bonus armor plus 3% bonus magic resistance, he doesn't really get access to this because he's not getting access to a lot of items, right? So because he's not getting a lot of access, his tantrum, physical damage reduction, passive is not really getting insane value. And then the magic damage, he's not getting ability power. And the base scaling on this ability is disgustingly low. It's 25 per point, right? So 25 per point, it doesn't even matter if this is like spammable. This is just a negligible amount of damage, especially because, again, Amumu typically will only end up getting to like level 11, level 12 or something like that. The other thing on his R is, I mean, this was nice. He did end up receiving damage in early and mid game and whatnot. He got the 50 flat damage. But again, 80% ability power. He doesn't get ability power. So you're just talking about flat numbers and stuff. And then obviously his Q, again, a super negligible amount of scaling per rank, which is just really bad. Again, he doesn't get ability power, and then it only goes up 25 per rank, but he can obviously hold the 2 charges. And then Curse of the Sad Mummy, enemies with 3 seconds refreshing on subsequent applications and Despair. Curse targets will receive 10% bonus true damage from incoming pre-mitigation magic damage. So the thing is that he doesn't deal a lot of damage. So even his own passive isn't actually amplifying all that much because the damage that would deal percentage max health of the opponent, 1, he doesn't have ability power, and then 2, it's his last maxed ability. So because it's his last maxed ability and he doesn't have ability power, he's just not doing anything. Now, you take this and you compare it to someone like or let's do Sejuani's support, right? So let's take a look at Sejuani's support, and you take a look at some of Sejuani's stuff. So not only are her base abilities absolutely just massive compared to Amumu's even early on, and I understand that her utility is a little bit less than Amumu's early on in terms of being able to like chase down, but her upfront burst is really gross. You take a look at the swing damage and the lash damage. This is a lot of damage that doesn't require an enormous amount of points be put in it, especially when you consider her trade sequence, right? And then she has her Permafrost. Permafrost is like, I mean, it's there, but still, even the base level, the base damage on the ultimate, the increase, the everything. Sejuani's ability is mostly because, again, of this, as well as just her base value, her trade patterns, etc., and then even her passive. She just will scale better than Amumu in terms of damage as stuff goes on, and then she has her passive, which also allows her to remain somewhat valuable. So, like, Amumu, he's very cheesy, or not cheesy. Cheesy is a bad word. I actually thought about this when I was camping. Cheese implies that if the opponent knew that it was coming, that it would have a significantly or almost non-existent chance of working. That is what I would define as cheese. So what is something that could like maybe be cheese? I think like if a top laner hasn't played against Pantheon in, 1,000 games or something, and you play Pantheon, you might be able to win with Pantheon in the laning phase because the person is so unfamiliar or like doesn't remember the trade patterns, doesn't remember the damage foresight, etc. I would define that as cheese. If a champion is predicated on its ability to attack solely the lack of knowledge and how unfamiliar the opponent is, while not having anything to stand or fall back on itself in terms of its own value, whether it be its like base damages or its utility or like things of this nature, then the champion is cheese. That's cheese. So if the opponent is like practiced against your champion, even remotely practiced against the champion, and they're familiar with the trade patterns and they're familiar with the damage foresight and all this other stuff, and the champion, again, is predicated on taking advantage of the fact that they don't know any of those things, it's cheese. That is what I would define as cheese. Twitch Jungle is another really good example of that, right? If people are unfamiliar with Twitch Jungle's clear speeds, if they're unfamiliar with Twitch Jungle's early base damages in terms of like how far up they can be inside of a lane and how they can still avoid one of his Q ambush ganks, etc., then yes, they can end up falling victim to it. But if they were more familiar with Twitch's ability and his clear speed in a competitive environment, etc., and Twitch can't get away with those things despite he needs to get away with those things, then yes, I would say that Twitch Jungle falls under the definition of cheese. I hope that makes sense. Okay, anyways, so there, we talked about Amumu. Someone asked